everything I made from the Czech Beads Exclusive Box from September 2025. As you know from my past recent videos that I've uploaded, I'm really trying to go back to my bead subscription boxes, ones where maybe I've made one or two things, but I haven't used up most of the box. So I want to try to use as much as I can and see what kind of designs and things I can come up with. With the Czech Beads Exclusive Box, I do find that I have to bring in a lot of beads and links and findings and things like that from my stash to kind of make a complete project for everything. So I'll kind of go over that as I show you everything. I do want to show you what's left over of the beads. So here's what I have left. Unfortunately, this one had no hole drilled in it, and this one, the hole wasn't drilled all the way through. So I wasn't able to use that. I don't have a tool right now to kind of finish the hole that was only about halfway. These rose petal beads are nice. I just was a little disappointed that this one, the color is different on the side. So these three match, and then this one is kind of like the opposite. The kind of bumpy side is the one with color. So I'll maybe find something for that later. Over here are just some single beads that I didn't use. This small Heishi type bead, this blue one, a tulip, another blue one, a couple copper tones, two different tones, and this square bead. So I'll just put them in my stash to maybe add to other things later. So let me kind of go over everything that I made here. I'll kind of sort it and I'll be right back. So first up are some earrings that I made. And you can see I used a couple different metals with this. For this one, it's copper toned. We have a couple gold ones and two silver tones. And I don't make earrings a lot, but I had fun with this particular box because there were, two of these. There were more than two of those. And lots of these tulips and things, a couple of those that I could make, some pairs of earrings. So we'll start over here with this one. Everything here is from the bead box, except for the findings. I'll say that across the board. All these earrings, jump rings, all those parts were not from the box. Over here on this silver one, these links were just in my stash, but the green and yellow were in the box. Here, everything is from the box. Same, actually with this one, I have these really tiny, thin gold Heishi beads. And then over here, everything was from the box there. So I had a lot of fun making earrings. So next up, I'll show you these two bead weaving things that I did. So the first one was this, and I haven't decided what to put this on, whether it be a necklace or for a bookmark, but this is probably the most complicated bead weaving project I've done, and you can see I wasn't as tight in some places. For a lot of the bead weaving projects, I will put the videos that were like inspiration. You'll see that I use different beads, or maybe I changed the pattern slightly, but there are definitely videos I found on YouTube that kind of inspired and helped me kind of develop some of these pieces. I really like how this came out. It is two-sided. I believe the tutorial was for an earring set, but I just decided to do one pendant, and and this actually goes in the back, it kind of flipped around a little bit. I just put it on this really simple brown, it's actually stretchy ribbon that I use for bookmarks with a clasp over there, but I thought that came out really pretty. As far as what came from the box, the rose petals did, and I think that's it actually. Everything else I had to get from my stash. This one, the centerpiece came from the box, and everything else didn't, so I kind of had to put that together. And you can see it's not perfect, but this was my first time doing it, so I'm glad of the progress that I made, and I'll definitely get better as I practice more. Our bookmarks. Now there is one bookmark that I made for a colleague of mine that I already gave to her, so it's not in here. So in total, Then I've made 4 bookmarks. I'll start with this one that has just these 3 little elements here. Let me scoot that out of the way. As far as the beads, this kind of big charm here, this check glass did not come from the box. Everything else did. These cathedral beads are really fun to use, oh, and these seed beads here didn't come from it, but I made that bookmark. Another ribbon type bookmark is another bead weaving project that I tried, and I started with a pattern that I found on YouTube, and I kind of changed it up. So the pattern was just, it was 5 of these actually. I've used 6, and it was this kind of star in the middle, but I added this to kind of hang. And it's not double-sided. What I need to do is get like a piece of felt, because you can kind of see some of my mistakes there on the back, and just kind of cover that. But I really like the combination of these green seed beads with this copper and then this green velvet ribbon that I used. And you just, stick it in your book and it hangs out the side there. So really simple bookmarks that I like to make. And then the other bookmark that I made for my colleague was this style that I love to make, with the seed beads in the middle here, and then the dangly pieces. And I think obviously seed beads were not in this box, but I think everything else was, including this little charm here, which I added one of the cathedral beads that came with it to hang down above the little bird. I thought that was cute. Yeah, everything else was from the box. Lastly, I made a bunch of bracelets. So I did make 4 stretch bracelets, and I put them here on my wrist so you can kind of see them. And I kind of had, a stack in mind when creating them. And most of these beads were from the box, I think, actually, except for, you'll see these copper kind of textured Czech beads were just in my stash, as well as, I believe there's some silver components in here. There we go. That was just from my stash as well, but everything else, but I thought that was a fun stack to make. I did do one bead weaving bracelet, and that used all these square cube beads, and then all the seed beads and everything else was from my stash, as well as this clasp. I like magnetic clasps. Those work the easiest for me. I did make this with the clasp being from my stash, as well as this little bird charm on the end. And I just did some loops with these cathedral beads. And then it has also from my stash this butterfly kind of 2-piece here in the middle with more cathedral beads. I did do a button bracelet. This button bracelet and the seed beads are from my stash. And then as well as these silver spacer beads with look like kind of like tied knots there. Everything else is from the box. And I really liked these kind of two different colors. One side was kind of like just silver, the other one is multi-toned, kind of thin cylindrical beads there. So that's that. And then here's another one that I made again with a magnetic clasp from my collection. These 2 links, same as the earrings I made. And then everything else, I believe, yep, everything else is from the box. To kind of end it in the fact that this is the contents. So there were 26 different items in it. I did bring in a lot of seed beads, as I said, bindings to kind of do things, but this is a really decent amount of beads. And I have a couple of the Czech Beads Exclusive Box from Kraftika. I don't get it that often because it's a little bit more on the expensive side because of the shipping, because it does come out of the country to the US. But I do have some more left, and maybe when I finish them I'll start subscribing again. But these are the contents, and I'd like to show you the next box that I'll be working on. This is the first ever box that I subscribed to, dollar bead bag and box from April 2025. And I just happened to have this when I got it. It's not the best storage for this. It did work out because it was the first one I got, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna make, you know, all these things for my friends, and I ended up ordering more of most of the beads. So what you see here is more than it comes in the box in the bag. I did order extras after because I wanted to make things for my friends. And then I started ordering another bead box and ended up using that for them. But I've made so far a bookmark, a button bracelet, and a memory bracelet from this. So, you know, it comes with this kind of green springy theme. And as you can see, there's a lot of beads in here because I added some to it after making all that stuff. So when I work through this, it's probably going to make a lot of things because I added so many extras to it as well. I think I did throw in something that I had just gotten, and I was like, oh, that will look nice with this theme. So these flower beads, I forgot exactly what they're called. They didn't come with it, but I threw it in here when I bought them because I thought it would look nice with it. And you can see I labeled everything like this. So I don't use this because you can see there's a lot of space left. Not useful use of this container. This would probably, once I finish it up, probably use it for like individual beads that I've bought on my own or from my stash, leftovers and things like that. So that is the dollar bead box and bag from April 2025. And on the bottom there, I did, let me close this up. I did save all the paperwork, so I can talk about that more. Obviously, that code's no good anymore, but this will be a fun one to do and kind of go back to when I first started and see like my progress. And I'll find the bracelet, the memory bracelet, and the button bracelet that I made, so we can kind of see where I started, what my very first project was. Thanks for watching, and here's everything I made from that box, and I'll see you in the next one.